I'll call the April 4th, 2022 County Council meeting to order. I'll recognize Tom Audette from District 1, who will lead us in invocation and pledge of allegiance.
Lord, we come to you asking for your guidance and wisdom and support as we begin this meeting. Help us to engage in meaningful discussion, keep our eyes open, our ears open to enable us to make the best outcome decisions for our community. In God we trust, the foundation of our country. We continue to pray for the people of Ukraine. In Jesus' name we pray, amen.
Amen. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. We move now to the oath of office. If Elizabeth Bowers with Rock Hill, York County CVB would come forward to be sworn into office, if she is here. Ms. Bowers, on behalf of the council, I want to thank you for your commitment to the community and your willingness to serve. It is done on a voluntary basis. You don't get paid, and I'm glad that so many folks in the room can actually see that our council depends on folks applying for these boards and commissions in order to get the job of the community done. We appreciate your service.
Thank you. Honored to be of service. Is that it? Okay.
Thank you again, Ms. Bowers. We move now to the appearances section of our agenda. And from the council perspective, one of the most rewarding things that we get to do is to recognize some of the individuals and some of the community members who have made some outstanding accomplishments throughout the county. We have had many team members come before the council, and I'm amazed and continue to be amazed at all of the talent that York County has. Tonight is a little bit special for me. It hits home personally because once a Bearcat, always a Bearcat. I graduated Rock Hill High, class of '93, and I also was a former guard and played on the varsity girls basketball team. We certainly did not have anywhere near the record you guys did. We played for fun, and that was 29 years ago. But what a privilege it is tonight to recognize our Lady Bearcats in the room. And on behalf of our entire council, I want to congratulate Coach Orr, all of the coaching staff, the Lady Bearcats, on achieving something that has never been achieved before, and that is winning a 5A state championship. I get choked up thinking about it. What an exciting thing that you have done for yourselves and for the community. What a dominating season. 21, there's so many stats, I don't know which ones to pick to say, but 21 game winning streak, 26-3 overall, 8-0 the region, tons of awards, all-state player, region coach. What also speaks volumes to me about this team is the reputation that you also have, not only for what you do on the court, but what you do off the court, putting your academics as a priority and making a commitment to the community to provide community service. I do want to thank you for letting us be a part of your celebration. There is a video that I understand has been sent over that we're going to just play real quick. And then after that video, if the team doesn't mind coming forward in front of, we have an awkward little setup here, but we want to make sure we get a picture, but after the video.
It was a big crowd out here, so I could feel the love and support. The season has had a lot of ups and downs, but I feel like all of our work has stayed consistent throughout. Like, we all worked very hard, and that's what got us to this point. Getting on that bus, it was just so exciting, 2-hour bus ride of just pure joy, happiness, and it was one of my favorite memories.
Hey, enjoy the moment, ladies. I was very nervous. It was like, oh my gosh, this is my last game. This is my senior game.
Just believing that, we've put in the work and it's our chance to go show everyone what we've been doing all season.
Very exciting season. I mean, these girls really, like we say, hashtag got after it this year. I hold these girls to a very, very, very high standard. I'm not asking them to play perfect. We're just looking for the perfect effort. I don't like when it gets rattled. I don't like when our kids show a kink in our armor. I always want them to be sound at what they do.
The ups and downs that you have, as long as you're working, you'll get more highs than lows eventually. And I feel like this is one of the highs. It was like a rush feeling of like excitement, happiness, and it was like gratitude. But throwing the ball up in the air and everyone jumping up together and jumping up and down, it felt amazing. It was awesome.
It was amazing, really. Like, I just remember Jada, she was dribbling the ball down, like 6 seconds left, and I wasn't even looking at the clock because I was like lost in the moment. And I just looked at her and her eyes got so big, and I was like, oh my gosh. And then from there, it was just like, I can't even remember all of it. It was just such a great moment.
I was just like, we did it. Like, we champs.
We wouldn't have done this without the coaches and our team. I wouldn't be the person who I am today without my team and the coaches either.
All the support we've had from our day one fans, it felt amazing to bring back that championship for them. And we play for each other, for the coaches.
And if people look at what they've accomplished, man, you can't do nothing but marvel at what they're doing. I mean, these kids have high GPAs. I mean, they're in high academic classes. They do community service. It's a well-rounded group of student athletes, and I'm honored to have coached them. I'm glad that I got the opportunity to be a part of this historic run, and I just want to thank them and just tell the parents, thank you for allowing me to coach your kids.
Congratulations again to you all. We appreciate it. Thank you for coming out. Coach Orr, you're welcome to say something. We would like to get a picture. If y'all could come up in front of the council before we.
Biggest testament to me was how they performed. You have no clue how they perform in the classroom. We had kids that 4.8 GPAs, 4.7. I mean, literally, they were fussing out who's going to get the academic. What team can say that? And it is a testament to them that you have good kids that don't have to be the best athletes. We're not tall. If you look at all these young ladies, they're short. But they're a testament to hard work, perseverance, dedication, and just doing the right things. And I want to thank you guys for having us here. And the emotion of the little Aries is positive. It's to see people congratulate them who's the real thing. So I apologize if I'm a baby.
Thank you again. Thank you so much. Ladies, if y'all want to come up, we'll do a real quick photo op because then we have to move on to other business. Congratulations again.
Council may want to move in just.
Scoot in. Y'all cram in.
Good job, y'all.
Great, yeah, great job.
Good work.
gonna count 3.
You ready? Yes. 1, 2, 3. Got it. Thanks.
Congratulations. Thank y'all again. Thank you.
Madam Chair, I would like,
Roddy,
while,
yeah.
while they're taking the seat, I would like to add one more accomplishment, I think, that was added to Coach Kenny's group of accolades. I think last week he was named Coach of the Year. I'm not sure if that was through the state or National Coach of the Year, but it was a big thing on social media. It was National Coach of the Year, right here out of Rock Hill, South
Fantastic.
Carolina.
Thank you for adding that. That's great. We move now to Stacy Moore, who's the president of York Technical College, to provide an update on the college and their future plans.
Thank you very much, and thank you, Chairwoman Cox, and all of our council members for having us tonight. I'm going to introduce a few people, and then we're going to move very quickly through an update. So as to give you a good update but not take up too much of your time, we have our fantastic commission chair with us, Jerry Hopkins. Love her. She's fabulous. You all know her. Our executive vice president for academic and student affairs, new to the college, Dr. Jamie Cooper. And then you will hear from our assistant vice president for facilities management, Robbie Brown, in just a few minutes. He's going to take over for me. So a few quick updates. Karen, do you just want me to tell you when to? Oh, right in front of me. Thank you. I'm good. Thank you. There we go. Okay, so a couple quick things for you in terms of overall updates. Enrollment. So during the pandemic, certainly, as you know, nationally, enrollment in higher education, we had some challenges, and certainly community colleges took a bit of the brunt there. So you see a one-year comparison. Last fall, we were down about 8%. We're seeing a recovery now. We're up 3% for this spring, and our application pool is very strong, up in the double digits, 30-40% increase in applications from last year. So things are looking good as it relates to our enrollment. Then some fun news, what you're looking at is first-time freshmen from all 3 counties, York, Chester, and Lancaster, that York Tech serves. This is all of the students that came out of all of the high schools in all 3 of those counties in 2019, and where did they go to school? So far and above, students went to York Tech. The vast majority of students, seniors graduating, college-going seniors, went to York Tech over any other institution. So we're very excited about that. In a recent climate survey we did, since we're in our strategic planning process, 80+% of our students also rated York Tech as their first choice. Okay, then you're looking at some performance metrics for us. This is our awards and completers. So this is basically how many students are walking the finish line and how many awards are they getting, because many of our students get multiple credentials when they walk across that graduation finish line. In the last 4 years, we've seen a 44% increase in the number of awards students receive, and as you see, a 29% increase in our graduates and our completers. So the most important thing, they're walking the finish line and getting done. We wanted to give you a little taste, too, of some of our corporate training and our, the changes over the last few years and our interaction with business and industry, especially during the pandemic and coming back. So first, what you're seeing is just a look at where's our corporate engagement, heavy in manufacturing. 57% of our corporate engagements in manufacturing, training, and other engagement. I'll point out telecom, while it's only 10%, we actually are engaged with every single telecom company in all 3 counties. So they all engage with us for training and other engagements like apprenticeships and such. Then you see on for you all, the right side of your screen, I presume for you all too looking at it, in terms of unique company engagements, you see, so that's an individual company that we're engaged with. Again, it could be corporate training, it could be apprenticeships, whatnot. A little bit of a challenge during the pandemic there, and then a really nice recovery. We're seeing it again, 153 unique companies. Any one of those companies may have multiple engagements with us that are not reflected in that particular graph. And then I will end with, we are certainly, we could use all the help possible in getting the word out. We are a no-cost tuition and fees through, we hope, spring of 2024. So very quick on that. That's a combination of, you all probably know, certainly, the governor's effort to help provide a tuition-free situation in the spring. Now in the legislature, in both budgets, the House and the Senate budgets have both maintained what the governor had asked for, which is $124 million for the technical colleges over 2 years, the first 62 of which is actually in the budget. So the governor had asked for those to come from Recovery Act dollars. We're pleased that they're not coming from those one-time dollars, they're actually in the state budget. So we're hopeful for that. What we do is we combine the money from the state as well as investment that York Tech. We have held on to a portion of our Recovery Act money so that we could support this as far as possible, helping to fill any gaps that the state money is not able to cover. So we are well into our no cost. It is tuition and fee free, so it's truly no cost, hopefully through to spring of 2024. So now's the time to come on in and change careers if you'd all like, or get, encourage anyone to come. I'm gonna turn over now, unless there are questions for me, to Robbie Brown. Great, and we'll take any questions certainly as soon as he's done.
Thank you, Dr. Moore. Am I hitting the wrong one? Am I supposed to point? Oh, there it is. Okay, I went too quick. So just a quick overview of finances and our facilities. We have 18 buildings on our main campus in Rock Hill, roughly 128 acres. We manage any and all aspects of the facilities. This is a snapshot of the current percentage of operating expenses for York Technical College. As you can see, about 24% are mainly utilities. Our plant operations, which deals with our maintenance of our facilities, roofs, HVAC, parking lot and roads, is roughly 35%, and then the remaining 40% is custodial, grounds, and law enforcement and safety. In comparison to fiscal year 2021, these are our current percentages as they relate to the first 6 months of fiscal year 22. As you can see, most everything is tracking as normal. You'll see that there is in red is fiscal year 2022. You can see in our custodial and law enforcement and safety, we're slightly behind, mainly due to staffing issues and vacancies. Everyone's experiencing that right now, so we're certainly not, we're certainly in the same situation. Our utilities are up this year, mainly because we're starting to get back to normal. We've got more folks coming to the campus and more activity. And then plant operations obviously follows in suit with that. In terms of capital improvements and projects, we have 35 ongoing projects that we're working on currently at the college. We're thankful for the money that the county gives us. It helps us to keep our campus looking good and functional for our students. In particular, our building improvements, we have about $1 million invested in current and ongoing projects, mainly roof renovations. We usually do one every 1 or 2 years. Our utilities and infrastructure, we have a lot of underground infrastructure, roughly 50 years old, that we're working on replacing now to several of our buildings. Site improvements, roughly $100,000. This is anything from repaving parking lots, replacing sidewalks, replacing signage, and so forth. HVAC improvements, we have 3 buildings on campus we're currently working on, including our student services building, as well as our classroom building D. And then finally, we use some of our dollars to replace equipment, lawnmowers, lifts, vehicles that we use for daily maintenance. And then finally, safety upgrades. We're continuing to improve our security surveillance, access control for the campus to keep it safe. Oh, sorry. And then finally, just want to let you know that we're looking to improve the Baxter Hood Center. We've asked for some one-time dollars from the legislature, $28 million, to renovate that building. For those of you that know the building, it started out as a continuing education center and an event center. It's been used for various purposes over time. We recognize the need for healthcare and expand our programs in healthcare. And we're looking at doing a feasibility study on that building over the next 3 or 4 months to see how we can better use it for our programs and our students. And then finally, during that study, we'll also look at hospitality and culinary programs, which obviously that's a big market in our area, and it's something we want to entertain while we do the study. And that's my presentation. I don't know if Dr. Moore or anyone has any questions for me.
Any questions from council?
I do have one question. First of all, thank you for this information. This is great. So as the businesses as you're partnering with businesses, whether they're out of state or in state, building that relationship to identify the needs of these businesses, that way you can pre-plan. Do you find any additional partnerships, say in like the Gravity Center in Rock Hill, Entrepreneur, and in meeting together with that? What would be your thoughts on that?
Absolutely. And so 2 things I'll say. One is, we're constant advocates of, for all of our students and our faculty and staff, is whether you open a business or not, entrepreneurial thinking is critical to us even being able to survive the next, year, certainly the next decade and century. But yes, partnership, we have a strong partnership now with the Gravity Center, so we'll start offering training. I think it starts in May through the Gravity Center, and we're building a curriculum with them for new entrepreneurs to kind of go through those standard, here's what you absolutely need to get started in your business.
That's great news.
Yeah,
Thank
we're
you.
excited.
Excellent.
Yeah.
Excellent.
Mr. Winkler?
Just a quick question, and hopefully it's an easy, quick answer, but you talked about the tuition free. Is that for like all the programs? Is that for part-time student and full-time, or is it just full-time? Or
It
because
is,
I know some people are trying to work and go to school to change, like you said.
Exactly.
And so I
Yes,
just wondered if
that's
that's something they can do and work and do it part-time, or.
Yes, and I'm sorry for not letting you finish your thought. Absolutely. It is for all of our programs, credit and non-credit. So your workforce programs and the credit programs. And it is for all students, though in the credit programs, you do have to be in 6 credits to get to qualify for the no cost. On the non-credit side, it doesn't matter.
All right.
Again,
Thank you.
So 6 credits. So and that's part-time, but you do need that basis.
Mr. Rowdy?
I just want to make a quick comment. I would like to say I'm a proud alumni of York Technical College. I entered York Tech in '92 as a college transfer student, and now we have that bridge program between York Tech and Winthrop. And it was at York Tech where I decided to study economics that was offered at Winthrop. So I was bridging before bridging was a part of York Tech and Winthrop. So, York Tech actually helped me find myself as a student. The smaller class sizes, first generation college student from the family. So it was really a blessing to have York Tech here to give me that opportunity to go right across the street, go to York Tech, stay at home with mom, still eating her food, and also transfer to Winthrop. It's an excellent opportunity, and now that kids can go absolutely free, I think that's a wonderful opportunity for those kids, maybe first-time college students or those looking to get back into some kind of degree program. So that's pretty good information, and I just wish we had a basketball team, ladies basketball at that.
That's right.
But
That's right.
definitely, it's a real asset to have a facility like York Tech right here in Rock Hill.
Thank you. Thank you.
Stacy, one of the things that I've always been real impressed with is how you operate your finances and what a jewel you are to our community. Are y'all still debt-free?
We are debt-free.
So you pay as you go?
We have a healthy reserve, yes.
That's fantastic. We appreciate you being responsible on that end, and I can tell you from a parent who has a child attending York Tech, I've been very impressed with how easy it has been for her to get acclimated and for her to be in the nursing program, and what better deal can you ask for than to have free tuition? I hope some of these ladies who are graduating are thinking about it, because tech school is the way to go, especially to save money. But thank you for coming here tonight to present the information. We appreciate what you do for our community.
Thank you. Thank you very much to all of you.
Thank you.
Thank you. And I'm just going to pause real quick because I don't know. The basketball team, make sure they know you're free to go. You can, if you want to, you'll be here for a good long while, and you may have other things that you need to do. Thank you.
Thank you.
We move now to the public forum session of our agenda. Just as a reminder, I think many of you folks have been here before, but as a reminder, when you come forward to the podium and I call your name, you have 2 minutes to speak, and that's in order for us to get through this part. We still have a good bit of work that has to be done on the agenda. So If you would, please make sure that you state your name and give your address. And if you would also please pay attention to the blinking light here once your 2 minutes is up. Once the 2 minutes hits, I'll end up having to cut you off, and I don't like doing that, but that's my job. So first person up, Jeff Carroll.
Thank you, guys. Good to be back. And first of all, go Tar Heels. Okay. This is in regards to the York County, our Morningstar Tower. So I appreciate you giving us the time here. This episode is called The Morningstar Tower, The Lies About the Status of the State Case, in regards to the York County press release, March 16th, 2022. The county's press release falsely claimed not once, but twice, that the state court had dismissed all of the Morningstar's claims and then claimed the state's appeals court upheld those dismissals. That, unfortunately, was a lie. Fake news. Here's the truth. Judge Dan Hall did dismiss Morningstar's claim for breach of contract because he said he was having problems computing damages. But Judge Hall did not dismiss Morningstar's claim for declaratory judgment as the press release falsely claims. The county tried to get Judge Hall to dismiss that claim for declaratory judgment, but ruled against the county in a request, and he declined to dismiss that claim. And by the way, the action for declaratory judgment was Morningstar's very first claim in that lawsuit, and the judge did not and has not dismissed it despite the two lies in the county's press release claiming he had. These two lies about the status of Morningstar's state case constitute an attempt by a governmental organization, namely York County, which is supposed to protect the First Amendment rights of all citizens and protect an attack on Morningstar's right of free worship. And unfortunately, there's more. Stand by. Thank you.
Larry Bird.
Good evening. Larry Bird, 375 Starlight Drive. Good evening. There was a third lie, and that was about the federal case. The press release claims that all claims filed in federal court by Morningstar were dismissed by the judge after hearing on summary judgment. That too was a lie. Morningstar indeed filed an action in federal court against York County on the derogatory, hateful, and anti-religious statement of the former chairman of the council, Buddy Motts. And I'm gonna read this to you. Listen very carefully from Buddy Motts, Friday, January 22nd, 2010. To Jim Baker, former county manager, Joe Cox, David Huell, David Harmon, Tony Huell, David McEwen, David Larson, Melvin McEwen, Linda Norris, Roy Blake, also Tierra Sierfield, Anna Moore, Susan Britt. Here's the subject. Morningstar Development Agreement. Please listen. I said, thanks, Jim. I see them made in the same mold as the old PTL. They are only out to fleece the investors of the units for every dime that they can get. The county has delayed this for too long, and I see no reason for us to allow them to continue further. It would not be accepted for the other businesses, and it should not be allowed for them. Thanks, Buddy. What an email. Imagine that a chair of your county council said that we, as a church, are in the same mold as the old PTL and just as scheming. I just can't believe that. And then we are out to fleece investors. I'm one of the investors. I'm going to fleece myself? I don't think so. So I just wonder, you wonder why there's distrust between us and you. Why? 2010 it started, and the distrust started, and this type of talk is inexcusable. And this council should man up and apologize for these statements made in 2010 about us. How can we get along? How can we get anything done? It doesn't speak highly of you or us. There's no trust. How are we going to get this thing solved? Do we want to solve it? Do we want to solve it?
Thank you, Mr. Bird. Mackie Gibbs.
Mackie Gibbs, my address is 375 Starlight Drive in Fort Mill. Here's where the third lie comes in. The press release claims that all the actions were dismissed in federal court after a summary judgment hearing. That's not true. Why? Because Morningstar filed a separate action against former county chair Michael Johnson for circulating a message calling for the destruction of the tower and saying that he hoped cooler heads prevail. The case was not dismissed by a judge after a summary judgment hearing, as the press release falsely claims, and in fact was not dismissed by a judge at all. Rather, the case against Michael Johnson was voluntarily dismissed by Morningstar with the county's agreement because Morningstar, in good faith, thought and believed that the county would stop all litigation efforts against it. Morningstar would never have dismissed that case in federal court against Michael Johnson if it thought that the county attorney, Michael Kendry, on his own would refile the current action against Morningstar, exactly 1 year after the parties dismissed it. But the point is, this is another lie, the county staff lie in the press release, claiming that all federal claims had been dismissed by a judge after a summary judgment hearing, a clear falsehood, with that press release designed clearly to harm Morningstar and its ministry. So that's two lies claiming that all state claims were dismissed by the judge, and now the third one claiming all federal claims had been dismissed. That's three, and counting, designed to harm Morningstar.
Thank you, Ms. Gibbs. Diana Scarmone. I'm sorry, I think I've messed that up.
Diana Simone, 375 Starlight Drive, Fort Mill. I live in York County and I'm a member of Morningstar Church. As I've mentioned before, I'm a former investigative journalist and I spent 20 years traveling around the world exposing lies and evil. Tonight, I'd like to expose lie number 4, the safety, health, and welfare lie. On page 4, you claim all York County has asked from Morningstar is that it do so in the same manner required of any other developer to ensure the safety, health, and welfare of citizens and residents. Let's expose that lie. First, you haven't treated Morningstar like other developers. You don't sue other developers. The county chair doesn't write derogatory and defamatory comments about other developers. You don't seek to destroy the property of other developers. Instead, you give them money, like the $360,000 you gave to D.R. Horton and the 30-year deal you gave to the Panthers. Second, you imply we've actually done something to endanger the safety, health, and welfare of citizens. Third, you imply you've got evidence of this. If you did, you would have included it. But you have none because there is none. Fourth, your language is clearly designed to turn people away from our ministry and undermine our religious beliefs and goals by implying we've done something to endanger people, a veiled attempt to turn them against the tower project. Fifth, you know we've conducted several engineering studies on the tower, all concluding it's structurally sound. Sixth, in 2007, your own staff concluded the tower complies with International Building Code standards. You never mentioned safety, health, and welfare. For you to put that language in your press release now is a blatant lie. It's derogatory, defamatory, and religious discrimination. All we're asking is to renovate the tower and be treated fairly. Thank you.
Thank you. Debbie Armstrong, or I'm having trouble reading handwriting tonight.
Debbie Anthony, 117 David Court, Fort Mill. This is my third visit to you. The last time I was here, you gave $360,000 to multi-billion-dollar developer D.R. Horton, and you're giving money to the Panthers practice facility. Yet you would sue a church and destroy church property. You favor billionaires and attack Christians. You have allowed County Attorney Michael Kendry to sue Morningstar even after former County Attorney Keith Martin said that it made no sense. So far, legal fees in this case have exceeded $330,000 of taxpayer expense. If Kendry had used common sense, he would have simply called our attorney to work this out without further expense. The press release issued on March 16th was another mistake. It was full of lies and jeopardized York County even more from a legal standpoint. Retract the false press release and terminate county personnel that were involved. Instruct the county attorney to dismiss the lawsuit against Morningstar. If he refuses, relieve him of his duties and hire someone who will defend religious liberty. Apologize for the words and actions of former county chairman Houston Buddy Motts. Do it now with no more delay. To paraphrase the great statesman Winston Churchill, we shall defend our property, whatever the cost may be. We shall fight in the York County Council. We shall fight in the courtroom. We shall fight at the ballot box, and we shall fight online. We will never surrender.
Bill Nugent.
I'm William Nugent. I live at 375 Starlight Drive, Fort Mill, South Carolina, resident of York County. I've worked in the residential construction business for over 35 years in all phases. My brother is an architect. My brother-in-law is an architect. My father was an engineer. My grandfather was a very prominent structural engineer. Building and construction is in my family and in my blood. I've looked at the tower inside and out. It's a beautiful building. It's been estimated to be worth $15 million as it stands. It's 50,000 tons of concrete and steel built above code. It's not junk. It's not derelict. It's an ideal candidate for completion of 225 beautiful residential homes for the elderly. This building is a screaming prime candidate for renovation and completion. We've already lined up an outstanding multi-billion-dollar-a-year general contractor, J.E. Dunn, one of the best in the industry. I've read the 5-page report. I see the ins and outs, the ups and downs. I see the misunderstandings and distortions. I see the suits and countersuits. And I personally apologize on behalf of myself and others for some sharp words and distorted statements that I may have made. And I do this in humility, and I humbly ask that you accept my apology. I know we've come through a lot to get to this point. I thank you for your patience with us, and I ask that we would let cooler heads prevail. We all want to do good for the people of York County. I do humbly ask that you allow us to complete our tower and get these apartments built.
Thank you, Mr.
Sold
Nugent.
and occupied. It would be a sin against God to waste this beautiful tower.
Thank you, Mr. Nugent. Carrie Bishop.
Well, they can't have their tower, but New Indy can do what they want. Carrie Bishop, 1851 Bonray Drive. Under industrial and other waste discharge restrictions, Code 5239, Section B2, preventing introduction of pollutants into wastewater systems of the county and wastewater treatment provide which, if inadequately tested, will pass into receiving waters in the atmosphere. According to DHEC, their lagoons are anaerobic, which means they're not treating properly. It's getting in our atmosphere, and we've already spoken to a water treatment facility who has stated how it will go from the atmosphere into our reservoir, okay? So my water smells sometimes when the air is going that way. Under Code 5243, Section A5, any noxious gases which either singly or by interaction with other waste are sufficient to create public nuisance or hazard of life. Section A, number 8, any wastewater in objectable color not removed in the treatment process, such as but not limited to dye waste, vegetable tanning solutions. There's plumes at the diffuser pipe of New Indy's outfall into the Catawba River, where we all get our water. Code 5246, state requirements. Any limitation on discharges shall apply in any case where they are more stringent than federal requirements. That means hydrogen sulfide is labeled as a toxic air pollutant under Code 61-62.5, number 8, along with methylmercaptane, lead, a few others that New Indy emits in their lagoons and their stacks. 5247, specific pollutant limitations. DHEC's already said they have an excess of zinc. Harmful contributions code 5272, section A. York County may suspend the wastewater treatment service and wastewater contribution permit in order to stop an actual or threatened discharge which presents or may present any imminent or substantial endangerment to the health, welfare, persons, and environment. So remember your prayer that you all said. Remember when you all sit in church on Sundays. Okay? Do you get forgiven of those sins? Because you're not protecting
Thank
this
you, Ms.
county.
Bishop. Ramses Gurgis.
My name is Ramses Gurgis. I live at 375 Starlight Drive, Fort Mill. I'm an Egyptian-born, British-educated Canadian. I have been living in this U.S. for 7 years. After retiring 24 years ago, I went to Sarasota to live the life that everybody dreams of, lie in the sun, play golf. I got fat, had a heart condition, and then heard a morning star. I've been here for 7 years, and instead of vegetating and waiting to die in a home, I have renewed my youth. I'm doing a master's degree. I will graduate with a master's in leadership in September when I'm 82. I'm able to teach the young entrepreneurs business and share with them the wisdom of 35 years in the corporate world. I have worked in 7 countries, and I grew up in a Muslim dictatorship that is socialist, and everybody dreams about the United States and its constitution and freedom. I never imagined in my life that I would be coming here and seeing what I experienced and left Egypt for, religious discrimination. This is what is happening in this case. I put in a bid for an apartment 7 years ago. I'm still waiting. I have to ask you a question. Would you rather have people vegetate in homes and die and cost your state money, or have people like me get revived, have a renewed life, have a purpose, share what they have learned throughout their life, and pay taxes? I'm employed and I'm paying taxes, and I'm 81 years old. I have been waiting for 7 years, and I have to tell you that what I've witnessed here is a shame. I never expected in my life that the United States would stoop so low as to be the kind of country I had to leave after persecution. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Robert Rummage.
Robert Rummage, 720 Balboa Court in Fort Mill. Esteemed members of York County Council, Morningstar Ministries is trying to complete Heritage Towers but stands at an intersection with a red light. As a parent of 8 children who has benefited greatly from the friendship and mentoring of the 50-plus community at Morningstar with his own children, I want to urge you to allow far more high-caliber people like Regis here, like we just heard, from the older generation to influence the younger generation. My autistic son is alive today because of the love and nurture of some of these men at a time when he was suicidal. I want to say to you, turn that red light green. As a homeowner in Regent Park who moved here 15 years ago, who drives by that tower every day, dodging potholes and wishing that tower would be finished, and whose property value stands to increase with the completion of a high-quality complex for active senior adults in my neighborhood, I say turn that red light green. As a taxpayer, voter, one actively involved in the political process in York County, who prays daily for you and your fellow council members to make wise decisions and exercise the wisdom of Solomon, I say this is your moment. Turn a contentious matter into a win-win solution. Turn that red light green. As a U.S. citizen who lived for 7 years in formerly communist Slovakia, next door to the Ukraine, who treasures the religious freedoms and religious liberties afforded by the U.S. Constitution, I say preserve religious liberty, allow this church to do its job. I've heard some of you say it's not safe. May I respectfully suggest to you that's not your call. There are federal agencies that will corroborate the engineering studies. Your job is to get out of the way and let the church develop its own property. I implore you, turn that red light green. Lastly, as the pastor of prayer at Morning Star Fellowship Church, who oversees a prayer room on the campus with over 80 hours of live worship, prayer, and scripture reading every week, involving many of the current residents of heritage communities at Morning Star, I urge you to allow more senior citizens to move here and join the intergenerational perpetual chorus of praise and prayer that's continuing to intensify from this property.
Thank you, Mr.
Turn
Rummage.
the red light green. Thank you.
Matt Martin.
Matthew Martin, 2429 Gibson Street, Rock Hill, South Carolina. Last month, I spoke to you all, said that we'd just keep coming back about this tower issue until it was resolved, and here we all are again. I guess most things were covered already, but one thing I wanted to, mention and talk about was just money issue, because that's usually what everything boils down to, was what's it gonna cost. I mean, as you can see, York Tech was just here asking for $25 million. Great, I hope they can get it, that's awesome. All we're asking for is for you to stop spending money. Stop spending money on this lawsuit. Put it to bed. Let us continue with our own building. We have our own funds secured. We don't need your money. We just need you to let us spend our money. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Ron Perry.
My name is Ron Perry. I stay at 3251 West Highway 160, Fort Mill, South Carolina. Me and my mom got some land up for sale, and we was hoping that it could get turned into commercial. On my side of the road, there's businesses. On our side, where you're selling the land, and on the side across the street, they're getting ready to put businesses on that side as well.
Mr. Perry, are you here for a public hearing item or a rezoning? Anything?
Yeah, rezoning.
Okay. You'll have, I don't want to interrupt your comments, but you will also have an opportunity to speak at the public hearing without limitation if you want to do that as well.
Okay. All right.
Thank you, sir. That concludes our public forum session. Do we have a motion on consent agenda?
Second.
Motion and a second. Any discussion? All those in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Hearing none, motion passes. We move now to our first public hearing. Council to hold a public hearing and provide second reading of an ordinance authorizing the sale of a 2.856 square foot, 0.0656 of an acre, more or less, portion of a parcel located in Fort Mill and previously identified as part of tax map number 64600000099, in which property was acquired by the county as part of a project number 17228-006, Hubert Graham Way Extension, Dry Run Road, in which property is no longer needed for the project. Authorizing the chairwoman and the county staff to execute the deed and any related documents necessary to close the transaction, providing for a public hearing and providing for other matters relating thereto. Do we have any management comments? Is there anyone here who wishes to speak in favor of this request? Is there anyone who wishes to speak against?
Move to close. Second.
Motion and a second to close the public hearing. Is there any discussion? All those in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Hearing none, the public hearing is closed. Do we have a new motion?
Move to approve.
Second.
Motion and a second. Any discussion? All those in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Hearing none, motion passes. Council to hold a public hearing and provide third reading of an ordinance authorizing the sale of the EC Black Building located at 13 South Congress Street, York, South Carolina, 29745, identified by tax map number 07011-01-008 and 009, as is, where is, to the City of York, and authorizing the chairwoman, county manager, and other county officials to execute such documents incident to the closing and sale of the property, including the deed for the property, providing for a public hearing, and providing for other matters related thereto. Is there anyone here who wishes to speak in favor? Is there anyone here who wishes to speak against?
Move to close. Second.
Motion and a second to close public hearing. Any discussion? All those in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Hearing none, motion passes.
Move to approve third reading.
Second.
Motion and a second. Any discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Hearing none, motion passes. Rezoning action, hold a public hearing and consider first reading case number 21-21, tax map number 64800000010. I was trying to cut it down, but I can't. 64800000022 and 64800000030 to rezone from RUD to NC, 4.9 acres in District 1. Mr. Buono.
Yes, good evening, council members. This request is for a rural neighborhood commercial, rezoning. So it's these three parcels that are depicted here. Currently, there's a single family home that covers all three parcels. This is at the western extent of 160, close to the North Carolina border. So here is a concept site plan submitted by the applicant. They propose to develop the property with a medical office building and perhaps 2 retail buildings. And to give you some context for the surrounding area, here's that same site plan overlaid over an aerial. So you can see in the surrounding area there are a mix of vacant properties, traditional single-family homes, and mobile homes in the vicinity. So the comprehensive plan currently shows these three parcels as falling in the single-family residential future land use category. So it's really looking for those single-family homes. There is an opportunity in that future land use category for low-intensity commercial, but the plan is looking for a pair of conditions to be present in order for that low-intensity commercial to be appropriate. So it's looking for intersections of major roads and or having adjacency to existing commercial uses, and neither of those conditions are present at this point in time. So based on that, staff recommends denial of this rezoning application. However, Planning Commission felt differently by a 6-2 vote, and they recommend approval.
Any questions?
Yeah,
Mr. Audette.
Yeah, so in regards to this location, it is, if you've taken a drive down through there, and I'm sure you have, you know, we are starting to see more commercial though come into the general area. The homes around there, there's really not many homes, very, very minimal homes around there. I think that based on the needs that we have in our area to bring in additional businesses and to manage high density growth in our area, I think this is a great avenue for us to do both at the same time. I think there's an opportunity to bring in doctors' offices in here, which are well needed. And I fully support this moving forward. So I just want to share that.
Any questions from council before we move into public hearing?
I have one quick one. On the future land use, this example there, it looks like community center goes right to the edge of it, maybe even covers a little bit of it. And community center does have some retail or that type stuff in it, correct? So this is right on the border, but just outside?
Yeah, so the community center, the center nodes, that's a concept in the plan, as opposed to the future land use designations, which are not the circles. All of those cover specific properties. The nodes, they generally cover an intersection, and that would be for this particular community center node, Gold Hill Road and 160, so that intersection is really what it's meant to cover. And all of the nodes are shaped exactly the same when they're put onto the map. So the community center is really, for the purposes of this area, meant to address that Gold Hill intersection and not necessarily extend all the way up to the border of this property.
Mr. Roddy.
If I heard you correctly, staff is denying it. And so staff is saying we would rather see residential homes versus the medical.
So the staff makes a recommendation based on the comprehensive plan that County Council has adopted. And right now that comprehensive plan suggests that this area should be in the future, and it is currently, single family residential. So not to say that we prefer one type of development, over another. It's just that's what the comprehensive plan recommends at this point in time. And so staff, we follow suit with that recommendation. That's not to say that long-term into the future, maybe this entire corridor becomes commercial, but at this point in time, that's probably premature, and the comprehensive plan reflects that.
Any other questions? Thank you, Jonathan. We move now to the public hearing portion. Is there anyone here who wishes to speak in favor of this rezoning? If you do, please come forward, state your name, and give your address before your comments.
Hi, Erica Kennedy. I'm here with ODA Architecture. We're out of Charlotte. Do you need my personal address or my work?
Work address.
Yeah, 2010 South Tryon, Charlotte, North Carolina. Just to speak a little bit about the question that was asked, if it's right outside of that limit, it sounds like the staff recommend they're just following, the rules that were put in place at the time. So as you mentioned, nodes need these specific kind of low impact, low impact retail centers. This isn't going to bring a lot of traffic and all of that. TI study has already been completed. And yeah, any more questions, I'm available.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Anyone else wish to speak in favor? Please come forward. Again, and state your name and give your address.
My name is Norval Pettis. I currently reside at 554 Willie Court in Rock Hill, South Carolina. I own property at 3260 West Highway 160. It is family-owned property. My mother's house was torn down in 2018 to widen Highway 160, which prevented us from expanding or building residential homes my sister and I had planned to build for our families. There was a drainage put on the property that is now draining water onto it. And in order to recoup some of the loss from tearing down my mom's house, we're trying to sell the property as commercial, and we're really prefer that this be approved for commercial.
Thank you, ma'am. Anyone else who wish to speak in favor?
My name's Ron Perry again.
Hi, Ron.
3251 West Highway 160. The land that you just spoke of, I live on the right side of that land, it's family land. But as I've been growing up and seeing they widen 160, all I see is there's going to be businesses coming down that road. So that's why I'm in for commercial. Because eventually, like I said, all businesses from 160 coming to the state line.
Thank you, sir. Anyone else? Is there anyone here who wishes to speak against this rezoning?
Move to close.
Second.
Motion and a second to close public hearing. Any discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Hearing none, motion passes. Do we have a new motion?
Motion to approve.
Second.
Motion and a second. Any discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Hearing none, motion passes. Rezoning action, hold a public hearing and consider first reading case number 22-04, tax map number 26500000085. I think I got that right. Zoning request to rezone from AGC to RUD, 1.1 acres in District 3. Mr. Buona.
Yeah, so this proposal is not for the entire lot. The full lot is about 9.9 acres. This is seeking to rezone approximately 1.1 acres, that area that I've got highlighted in yellow there, to rezone that to RUD. This is a proposed plat that would show, you can barely see it, there's a dot on there for a proposed septic tank. So this would be family property they propose to subdivide to have a family member build a single family home on it. Staff recommends approval of this request with a single condition, and by a vote of 7-1, Planning Commission also recommends approval with the same condition, and that condition is becoming a standard one where they need to record a plat that reflects that change in zoning so that you only have one zoning district on each of the properties.
Any questions?
Yeah, can you explain why that is?
That's because you don't want to have split zoning, and if you've got a approval that has a plat recorded just to have that zoning designation absorb the RUD zoning. On AG Street property, you have a 5-acre minimum, and you can have 2 homes on it. In RUD, you have a 1-acre minimum, and you can have 1 home on it. So just to make sure that all of the land records are accurate, we want to make sure that that plat gets recorded very quickly after the rezoning is passed, so we don't have conflicts in the future about nonconformities.
All right, thank you.
Any other questions?
Yeah, I have a question. So I want to be sure I'm clear. Are you saying that so we're gonna carve out this 1.1 acres, but the rest of it is gonna change to the same zoning as that?
No, so right now, the larger property is zoned AGC, and the applicant is proposing to rezone 1.1 acres of that to RUD. The remaining 8.8 acres would remain AGC.
Okay.
Any other questions? Thank you, Mr. Bono. Is there anyone here who wishes to speak in favor of this rezoning? If you'll come forward, state your name and give your address.
I'm Brandon Valier, 398 Maynard Grayson Road. I'm the one submitting this. I just want to build a house for my family that moved down from the north down here to the south so we can continue to farm the land. So teach my kids how to live, I guess.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Anyone else who wishes to speak in favor? Is there anyone who wishes to speak against?
Move to close.
Second.
Motion and a second to close public hearing. Any discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Hearing none, public hearing is closed. Do we have a new motion?
Yes, move to approve first reading with the stated conditions included.
Second.
Motion and a second. Any discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Hearing none, motion passes. We do not have any old business. We move into new business. Council to approve first reading by title only of an ordinance to amend the code of the County of York, South Carolina, Chapter 90.02, rates, fees, and charges for public park facilities, services, or sponsorships in order to establish usage fees for the newly constructed Allison Creek Park, establish a year-round day use fee schedule, and annual passes for Allison Creek Park and Ebenezer Park, to increase recreational vehicle and tent camping rates, modify and increase certain shelter rental rates, and to provide for other matters relating thereto. Do we have a motion?
I'll make the motion for, I know Michael Johnson hated it, but I'll make the motion for sake of discussions.
Second.
Motion and a second. Do we have any discussion?
I'll start since I made the motion. We talked about this a little bit in the agenda meeting, but I felt like there were a lot of unsolved questions and issues with the fees and stuff when we had our retreat. And so I would like to ask that since this is title only, there's not much in there. If we pass it today, and I know management can give us some reasons on why it's in here as title only today, but that this be put in our next workshop or as soon as we can to address all those questions, because several of us had quite a few questions. I know Councilmember Guffey had a lot of concerns about it, and we need to get those addressed, in my opinion, before we move to a second reading.
Just to clarify and to answer that question, I do believe this is on for the public workshop, April, what is that, 14th?
Next Tuesday.
Yep, next Tuesday.
Yep. Yeah, we'll be at council chambers as well. And yeah, I have a lot of issues with this. I want to make sure that the public is aware and the public does come out and voice their concerns. Because too often we hear complaints after something has passed, but as someone who grew up in the community without a lot of money, the parks were always somewhere that I could go and enjoy. And we really don't have a lot of access to the lake. And if we're going to raise these rates, we really need to think hard about that and how we're affecting all citizens within the county.
So just a quick, I guess, understanding check for myself on this one here. The thought is going to be to talk through the cost of entrance into these parks, in essence. And that will move on to, again, a discussion as we looked at for our workshop then, based on that. Okay, I just want to make sure I have the right understanding. Thank you.
Any other questions or comments?
Not really, other than we certainly have a lot to flush out in the workshop in between first reading and second and third reading, because As I recall in our strategic planning session, there were far more concerns and questions raised than answers or solutions arrived upon. So I also encourage everyone to participate and come to the workshop if they can, because we need to hear your voices on this, so.
And I will say that we did have some discussion on this in the agenda meeting and agree that the understanding was that there would be significant opportunity for council to have and complete the discussion that they had at the strategic plan, but out of deference to management who had this on the agenda, in order for us to meet the deadline, we needed to get at least first reading here, and then we'll see what happens after the workshop. All those in favor of the motion say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Motion passes. Council to consider approving a funding update regarding eligible funding source for the purchase and replacement of 800 megahertz radios from Motorola Solutions, Inc. via the Coronavirus State and Local Fiscal Recovery Funds for a total amount of $2,377,795.07. And before we move forward, I understand that there is a question from management about this agenda item.
If I could just make the motion to defer this one so that we could hear from management or have more time to actually make an informed vote on this.
Thank you, Mr. Hampton. Is there a second?
Second.
Motion and a second. Any discussion? All those in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Hearing none, that will be deferred. Committee and other reports, we do not have any. Council member, new non-agenda comments. Mr. Winkler.
I'll just say I've made comment before that I see there are 4 candidates who have filed to replace me in the upcoming elections for District 3. And one of them has been consistently here since the opening started. See a second one here tonight. So it's always good to see people who are wanting to sit up here come out there and sit and start trying to get their arms wrapped around what it is we do up here. Because it's a lot of times, I know when I first started, I wasn't sure half what we did, and it's a learning process. So I'm glad to see people participating and getting out and wanting to serve.
Mr. Audette.
Just real quick, I just want to give a shout out to the state SCDOT. We finally did get the intersection of Gold Hill Road and 77 bypass completed, and people are understanding that conversion to Diamond well, along with myself. So it's good to see it completed, and we move on to the next exit. So there you go.
That concludes our council member new non-agenda comments. There are no citizen concerns. Do we have a motion for executive session?
We do. I move that we go into executive session for the receipt of legal advice relating to a contractual matter regarding recreation fees. Also for the receipt of legal advice relating to another contractual matter regarding the City of Rock Hill sewer rate increase, as well as for the receipt of additional legal advice relating to another contractual matter regarding municipal inmate jail agreements.
Second.
Motion and a second. Any discussion?
I have a question. Is there any discussion regarding items 13 and 14 from consent agenda in executive session? I was under the impression we were going to be having a discussion on that.
Can we amend the motion to include that?
I'll amend my motion to include additional legal advice regarding those 2 items.
Thank you.
Is that accepted?
Yes.
Okay, we have a motion and a second for executive session. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Hearing none, we'll move straight into executive session. Thank you. We are out of executive session. No action was taken. Do we have any motions?
We only have one motion, and that is to authorize county staff to prepare communication and press statement regarding utility rate increases.
Second.
Motion and a second. Any discussion? All those in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Hearing none, motion passes.
Move to adjourn.
Second.
So
All those in favor say aye. Aye. We are adjourned.